Clash Minis getting 2 new characters coming in the update. The Skeleton King is our newest hero. Check him out, it looks pretty tight. And then we have the Royal Ghost, who is our newest mini. Very spooky. We'll start off with the Skeleton King, who is a fairly tanky hero and has some really unique mechanics. His super is called Spooky Pop, which is actually pretty funny. That is the name of one of the games that Supercell killed in the past. Hopefully not a bad omen that this game's gonna end up like Spooky Pop. He swings his mace in front of him, deals 3 damage to enemy minis, and his super also knocks them back and briefly stuns them for a bit. This is especially great if he's able to hit more than 1 mini with his super, because they'll all get knocked back, all take damage, and all get stunned. His second ability is How Dare You. Once he's unlocked this ability, he deals 1 damage to isolated enemies for a total of 3 damage for every attack. Now, in order for an enemy to be considered isolated, they can't have any of their teammates directly next to them. So whether the Skeleton King is facing multiple minis with his super or a single mini with his attack, he gets actually a pretty nice bonus. But it's his third ability that really makes him strong. It's called I Am Back, which is very fitting because it makes the Skeleton King revive after he's defeated for the first time. He only revives with 6 HP, but he gets an additional 6 HP for every mini that he's killed before he dies. So it is completely possible for him to revive with max HP. Keep in mind that he can only respawn once each round, but he is still very strong. And to show you how strong he's gonna be, I'm gonna put him up against every other hero at max level. And then I'll show you the Royal Ghost. First up, we've got him against the Wave Master. Now, he deals more damage than the Wave Master with each of his attacks thanks to his second ability, which, by the way, helps him in all these matchups since they're all 1v1s. But the Wave Master is able to charge his super first, and he keeps the Skeleton King stunned for an extra second with his attack. The Skeleton King stuns the Wave Master with his super, and the Wave Master stuns him once again with a second super, and once again the Skeleton King stands back up with his second super charge and is able to use it to take out the Wave Master. Next is the Shield Maiden, and the Skeleton King deals way more damage than the Shield Maiden does and quickly charges up his super to knock her back. She saves some time by using her super, but even with her shield up, the Skeleton King still deals 2 damage with each swing. Once the Shield Maiden's super wears off, it only takes the Skeleton King 1 more swing to charge up another super and then finish her off with it. Next we have the Monk, and the Monk just simply does not lose against any other hero or any other mini in a 1v1. However, the Skeleton King is kind of an exception because although he does get defeated, he actually puts up a really good fight with his third ability. Even though he has no minis to kill, he's still able to stand back up after being 1-hit KO'd by the Monk's super, and then use his super to deal a good amount of damage before the Monk does actually take him out with a second super. Next is the Archer Queen, and I let the Archer Queen start 1 space away from the Skeleton King, but it still didn't give her a big enough head start to charge her super even once. She's not known for doing well in 1v1 situations, and the Skeleton King quickly hops over and is able to take the Archer Queen out with only 2 attacks and a super. Next we have the Barbarian King, and him and the Skeleton King basically just take turns charging up their supers on one another. The Skeleton King deals more damage than the Barbarian King, but the Barbarian King recovers a good chunk of health with each of his supers. They get each other down to a sliver of health, and the Barbarian King actually takes the Skeleton King out first, but unfortunately the Skeleton King is revived and only needs 1 hit to defeat the Barbarian King, who does not get back up. Next is the Countess, and she does not deal as much damage as the Skeleton King, but her rate of fire is almost twice as fast. She quickly charges her super and is actually able to stay ahead each time she heals, but the Skeleton King super deals more damage than the amount of health that she recovers, so the Countess gets close but can't quite defeat the Skeleton King, and well, he gets to revive himself, so it may not even be as close as it looks. Now let's talk about the Royal Ghost. The Royal Ghost is a pretty squishy mini who costs 3 elixir and deals 2 damage per hit, but what makes him special is his super. Once it's charged, he becomes invisible for 4 seconds, and while he's invisible, enemy minis can't target him, but he can still attack them. Additionally, he doesn't become visible again even while he's attacking enemies. However, he can still get hit by splash damage from minis who aren't specifically targeting him while he's invisible, so keep that in mind. The Royal Ghost's first upgrade is Surprise. This allows him to deal 1 bonus damage to isolated enemies who don't have any allies nearby. This brings his damage to 3 damage per hit, which is actually really good. But it's the Royal Ghost's second ability that I'm most excited for. It's called Ghost Army, and it gives him a very strong clash ability. At the start of the match, not only will he go invisible, but he turns his teammates to the left and right of him invisible as well. This forces enemies to focus their attacks on other minis like tanks or minis that you want them to attack, like like the giant skeleton, or if you have 3 minis on the field, the enemy team will just stand still for a second while they take damage from your army of ghosts. I could see some very strong decks being made specifically to synergize with this ability because it's actually really cool. The Royal Ghost's third ability is Humble. This is just like the Humble ability that works on other minis. If he kills an enemy, he'll heal 6 HP over 3 seconds, and I can't imagine using this upgrade very often on the Royal Ghost since he's a pretty squishy mini, but I suppose it's better than nothing, especially considering the fact that he could go invisible and then become untargeted, take out an enemy, and then heal himself back up to full HP. It might work out well. So what does a fully upgraded Royal Ghost look like? Here's a fully maxed one against a fully maxed out Valkyrie. Now in this situation, it doesn't really matter that he goes invisible because the Valkyrie does area damage and he's just going to chase after the Valkyrie either way. But as you can see, he can still deal a lot of damage before dying. Now let's see the Royal Ghost in a 1v1 against all the other 3 elixir minis to give you an idea of how strong he's going to be. Against the giant skeleton, he deals a lot more damage and he attacks faster. Once he goes invisible, the giant skeleton moves away and the Royal Ghost chase after him. And it should be no surprise that he dies soon after he takes out the giant skeleton. Now against the mini P.E.K.K.A, it should be no surprise that the mini P.E.K.K.A shreds through the Royal Ghost since he only has 4 HP. He only lasts for 2 hits, and that's pretty standard of what actually happens to him in a lot of melee situations. He does better against the Lumberjack though, since the Lumberjack hits him with only 1 damage each attack, which then also helps charge the Royal Ghost super and allows him to go invisible and take out the Lumberjack. But he goes right back to being 2-shot by the Golden Giant, which just shows that he's not very good at tanking damage. Now the Dark Goblin doesn't have very much health, and the Royal Ghost is able to completely take him out in only 3 hits, long before the Dark Goblin's attack speed actually picks up. But it's a very different story against the Musketeer, who has a much faster attack speed and a fair bit more health. Unfortunately for the Royal Ghost, he dies before he can even go invisible. But things are even worse against the Bowler because of his Clash ability and the fact that he only requires 2 hits to completely take the Royal Ghost out. Lucky for the Royal Ghost, the Healing Ranger doesn't have as much HP and also deals very little damage, meaning that the Royal Ghost gets another victory. This goes to show that the Royal Ghost is primarily a damage dealer who doesn't like to take damage, kind of like the Barbarian. And that's why I think it's his second ability that will make him incredibly strong with the right strategy. But I want to know what you guys think about the Royal Ghost and the Skeleton King, so let me know in the comment section below which you're more excited for. And make sure you subscribe for some more Clash Mini content. I know it's been a long time since my last video, but I do plan on doing some more. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by. We will see you in Clash Mini.